I want to open up a bakery and call it, You Know Muffins, Jon Snow. Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Tyria Talk. My name is Richie Procopio, aka Otter, and this show is all about Guild Wars 2. Today's episode number 77, and today we're going to be talking about the recent beta test for the Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns expansion that happened this week. Sorry this video is a little bit late. The actual beta happened several days ago, but this is the first chance I've got to sit down and kind of give you my thoughts about what we saw and just some of my general impressions. So I live streamed this. If you want to check out the whole live stream, you can go over to twitch.tv/bogotter. You can probably find the 2-hour live stream I did there. At some point, I might chop up parts of it and put it into some videos here or there. But in general, we got to see some things that we've already seen before, and then some things that were completely new. We got to start off doing the story instance that I was able to do when I was at ArenaNet checking out the beta. It's also the same demo that they put out for people that went to Rezzed or PAX East as well. But there's some changes that were to it. Now, the beginning part was all the same, and you still don't have the choice that they allude to. There's a choice in this story instance where you can try to save people that crashed into the jungle in the Pact, or you can go on a rescue mission, basically, or you can try to bolster defenses and build turrets and different things like that. The building the turrets option is still not available to players. But we did get more out of this instance than before. When you go on the rescue mission, after you fight a whole bunch of different new bad guys and stuff like that, there's actually a whole new section to it with different dialogue, and Ritlock Brimstone makes an appearance. And so that was really cool to see. It was fun. I'm glad that they're continuing to develop that story instance, and I can't wait to see what the actual difference between the choices actually does for the story. After you finish the story instance and you get into the map Verdant Brink, they actually unlocked a lot more of the map than was previously available. Before we were just stuck on this just really little section where there was, an adventure to do, and there was, just a couple different events, and then there was that Wyvern boss fight that you could do. Well, now there's a whole new section of the map that opens up, and it's absolutely stunning to look at. It's gorgeous. There's a Hylic village. Right, the new kind of tribes of Hylic are present there. There's some Nuok, which are the big hulking ones, and what was the other one? The Itzel. The Itzel is the other one. The Itzel are kind of like the spindly, like more skinny. But you know what's weird in game? They're really, really tall. They're bigger than like the Norn, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like little froggy people, but they're pretty gigantic. So you get to go to the Itzel village, which kind of looks like an Ewok village in the trees, and there's lots of different bridges and ramps and different ways to go. And there were some more events. There was a different Wyvern fight that I was able to participate in. And then at nighttime, the whole zone changes, and it kind of reminds you a little bit of how Dry Top has the phase where the sandstorm comes in, and then the events in the zone change. Well, this is nighttime comes, and then the events are different, and you have a period of time where the zone is just different for a while, and so that was interesting. And the other thing is you could also see a whole bunch of different things like the mushrooms that you eventually can use mastery points in to jump or gain different buffs. You could find the mushrooms of all different types all over the place, and there was places that you really want to get to, but you couldn't because you didn't have mushroom jumping yet, or at least I didn't have mushroom jumping yet. And there was also, the Itzels. There were some NPCs with a symbol on their head that looked like once you unlock some of the getting to know Itzel masteries, like learning the Itzel language and different things like that, they would be able to interact with some more of these NPCs. So some of that groundwork is in place. My experience after I got out of the story instance was a little bit mixed. One of the things that they did was they actually made a change to the mastery system. So it's got a new UI, which is kind of looking better than what we saw before. And they made a subtle change to how the mastery point system works, which is a little bit confusing because I had a little bit of trouble figuring it out last time, and now it's changed. So how it works is when you get a mastery point, then you can kind of like equip which mastery you want to start working on. So, for example, if I want to start to glide, I would then equip or set the gliding mastery line as active, and now I can start to gain experience points down that line. Once I gain a level, then I can spend the mastery point to obtain the skill. Very slightly different from what it was before. What it was before is you spent the point first, and that would unlock the ability to gain experience in the mastery line, but then you wouldn't actually get the gliding or whatever ability it was until you filled that bar with experience. So it's basically the same thing. It's whether or not you spend the point to begin with or at the end. And I think they're probably trying to avoid people getting confused that, hey, I just spent a point on this and didn't actually get the ability. What's up with that? But neither way, neither one of these methods I think is overly elegant. And I was trying to think, is there a better way that they can do this? And the problem is what their design goal is. Well, it's not really a problem, but you're not going to have a smooth, totally elegant. I think there's going to be confusion no matter what method that they go with for new players or players that aren't used to it yet because of what their goals are. And their goals are, they want to have certain activities that you go through about the world that award these mastery points. They want to have methods in game to do these adventures, these activities, or story instances, and award mastery points. They want that, and at the same time, they don't want you to just spend the point and get the ability. They want you to actually play through the game, and they want to put value on experience points, so that there's a more of a sense of a progression. It takes a little bit longer to do these, but it's also you get rewarded for playing the game. So when you're killing a monster and getting experience points at max level, you're like, okay, cool, I'm working towards something. When you complete your dailies and you get experience points, all right, I'm working towards something. So they want there to be value in experience points and leveling up, and they want you to have to go out and do these specific activities to earn mastery points. So with those two goals in mind working kind of together, I can't really think of a more elegant way to make that work without kind of stripping one of those two things out of the equation. I don't know. It was just some thoughts that I was having. I look at these things like expansions and changes to these mechanics. I look at them a lot of the time through the eyes of brand new players. I've always done that when I analyze game mechanics. I always think of folks like my father, or I have some other friends who play video games, but they don't follow the news. They don't check forums or Reddit and stuff, and I just kind of think about it from their point of view. Am I going to have to explain this to those people when they get into it and stuff like that? And so, yeah, that kind of stands out to me a little bit. Now, the other bit of feedback that I'll say, and I mentioned this on the stream, and I'm gonna qualify this by saying this is not a huge issue, and it's a very temporary issue for most players. But I will, again, from the new player perspective, especially folks that are coming into this expansion, maybe they haven't played since launch, or maybe they just picked up the game recently. I'm just gonna give this little bit of feedback. Verdant Brink is a beautiful map, but what ArenaNet has been boasting for a while is the verticality in these maps and how much content and different things to see they can pack into such into one of these zones. And the fact that there's so much like verticality to it it makes it interesting, but it also makes it really complicated. And until you unlock some of the masteries that allow you to kind of traverse differently, gliding, jumping on the mushrooms, etc., the map is very difficult to get around in, like extremely difficult. I was trying for a large portion of the stream to catch up with my friend and guildmate Matsta, and you could see on the stream I could never get to where he was because he was always able to glide somewhere or jump on a mushroom somewhere because I didn't have any mastery points. He already unlocked those things, so I couldn't get there. I would check out the map. I would see an event off in the distance. Oh, I want to go do that event. I have no idea how to get there because I can't go directly to it because there's some vine or some bridge on a different level that I need to get to. I found it complex, and I found it frustrating trying to get different places. Now, in the grand scheme of things, within a day or two of playing, maybe even just a couple hours of playing the expansion, I will have the ability to unlock gliding and mushroom bouncing if those are the first two that I choose. And then it's going to get significantly easier. So that is totally that's totally a valid response to the feedback that I'm giving here. And I do think that that is something that it's probably not going to be a huge deal over time. But I'm just saying, like, if that's my initial impression and I'm already like sold on the game and I support the game and I make a lot of content on it and stuff like that. But if I was frustrated just playing through that, I could see other players that are maybe a little bit more new or maybe not so sold on the game, just like being a complete turnoff. They liken the progression system, this kind of mastery system, to games like Legend of Zelda or Metroid, where it's like, okay, so you're wandering around Legend of Zelda and there's a boulder you can't get past. Okay, I'll come back later once I have a certain item that allows me to get past that boulder. And you see this a little bit in Super Adventure Box with some of the items that you get. You need the candle or whatever to light up those vines so you can get past them. But the game isn't frustrating simply because that boulder is there. It feels more like, hey, once you have the ability to unlock it, it's cool, you can rethink, I'm going to go back and do that. Whereas I feel like the slight difference with this is I feel like I can't even figure things out. I can't even get to where I want because I don't have these abilities. So I don't know. It just shouldn't be frustrating right outside the box. There's not much they're going to be able to do about it now. I do think that it's cool that the zone is complex and interesting to look at, and it's not just all obvious paths and stuff like that. Just a little bit of a feedback. And I guess the final thing I'll say is when nighttime fell and there was new events and stuff like that, there was a bunch of just events that were very similar to everything that we've done before. It's just a group of people. You go to the little orange circle, and it's like, all right, we got to defend this point. The Mordremoth vines and Mordremoth creatures, Mordrem creatures are attacking. Defend this point for 5 minutes. Okay, now that event's over. We got the thing. We're making progress on the zone-wide meta for this nighttime cycle. All right, move to the next area where there is an orange circle and it's another kind of defend type of point. I wish there was some way to spice up the variety of these events a little bit, so you're not just sitting there in a group and fighting just waves of monsters over and over again. And what's encouraging is Colin Johansson posted on the forums, maybe even today, and he basically said something to the effect of that they're still working on these maps and stuff like that, and they want to improve the AI and the open world experience, and so it's kind of addressing this feedback a little bit. But more importantly, what I was really excited about was he mentioned that, and by the way, this is the challenging content that we've kind of talked about during the announcement for Heart of Thorns has yet to be revealed, and he implied that it is not going to be an open world experience. It's going to be something completely different, and that gets me super excited. I could probably dedicate a whole nother episode to talking about that, because that's what I thought Guild Wars 2 has needed for the longest time. Something you could do with your guild, something that's instant, something that is not open world, so that you can kind of really choose who goes there with you, and and consequently the content can be much more challenging because you can specify how many people are doing it in some way, shape, or form, or at least be able to invite only certain people. You're not just at the mercy of whoever's at the map with you. That's a whole other topic. But in general, I know this is a work in progress. It's still a beta. Just a little bit of an observation that the events that we were doing felt a little bit samey. So, but overall, it was a good experience. I love getting new stuff. It was kind of surreal walking through this environment going, I'm playing Guild Wars 2, and yet I have no idea where I am or what I'm doing. It was really cool. And I got to play the Revenant again, which was super fun. And overall, it was a good beta test. It was only 2 hours, and I didn't get to do the 3 different sessions. I only got to do the one late at night. But yeah, overall, it was a good time. Just giving you some of my feedback. What did you guys think? Did you play? Did you watch people stream it? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with some of my assessments? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified when future videos are released. You can hit me up on Facebook and Twitter if you have any other comments or questions, the details of which are conveniently laid in the description below. And I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.